Just wanted to touch base with the people out there that keep up, that have subscribed to the channel. Give you a little extra. I've been putting stuff on the Facebook group, some budget numbers, and it's not looking good at all. So this budget came out of the gate pretty bad due to, I'm going to theorize here. Shortly after this mess, our financial director quit. And we'll leave it at that. So, came out the gate with a budget that was not a budget. It was complete disaster. Since then, and I'll give credit to where it's due, we've seen Brady Deal really step up in these budget workshops and do a great job of presenting this and putting it together so it can be understandable. What we had at first was not anything understandable. So, but when they ran the preliminary numbers, looks like we're going to be about 2.5, we'll say 2.5 million in the hole. So it's pretty simple how this budget stuff works. Think of it as your own. Let's run our county like a household for a minute, right? And we're going to do this as like a monthly budget, right? Something most people might be familiar with. So, say you bring home $2,000 a month, all right? And your bills for that month are $2,500 for that month, right? So, what would you normally do? Well, that month kind of hit you kind of hard. Usually you'd have a savings account, right? A savings account we'll consider to be the general fund. We have operating fund and a general fund. So you say, well, some things happen this month. Looks like we're a little over budget. Going to dip into the savings account, pay these bills off, right? Keep the lights on, keep the mortgage people happy, right? That's your operating expenses. So the problem is that's been going on for some years. All right, and this goes back before most of these board members were even on the board. We get our operating budget for the year, and we dip into our general fund, or we'll say our savings account, to cover it. Well, if you have any common sense, you would know eventually you can't keep doing that. And that is the point that we have reached, where we have pretty much wiped out most of our general fund or savings account. And the thing is, probably like you, right? Running a household, say you need a new refrigerator. Say it's not even something you need. Say you want a hot tub or something like that, right? Well, usually you build up a savings. It gets to a certain point. It's like, all right, I want to build this new patio on my house, or put a new hot tub in, or something like that. Redo the bathroom, right? Those would be considered like CIP projects for the county, right? Stuff that, upgrading buildings, buy new furniture for the library, stuff like that. CIP projects. So, you want to add or upgrade something in your house, you dip in your savings account, you pay for it. It's usually not how, you pay with just one paycheck, right? If you're like most folks. So that's what we've been doing. The problem is now our savings account has gotten so depleted. We're looking to the point where we have CIP projects that I don't know how we're going to be able to get funded in the next few years. And some of those things are things we've wanted, like, say, $300,000 for library furniture from the last video, and things that we absolutely need, like a animal shelter, because the foundation was done so wrong on the old one that the state keeps busting us and writing us up for paint peeling that will never stick. And that's where we're at. And that's the problem we have. So two things got us to this point. One was previous Board of Supervisor members under that of the Roger Scott and Easter Board with, you say their little tag along, Sean White in there a lot, overspent. Too much money was given out. All the money to all these project feasibility studies. How much money was paid for them to design a new $10 million ball field that never happened. It should have never happened. It should never have been a thing in the first place. Stuff like that. So I've been writing checks, giving out money. When the budget comes at the year and we need this much to keep the lights on, keep people employed, like, oh, well, we'll just pull it out of the general fund, the savings account. Well, that's now gone. So that's the first problem. The second problem is the revenue projections seems like they've been highly miscalculated. So going back to your household running a budget thing, right? You're expecting $2,000 coming that month to cover your bills. And your bills for that month are $2,500. But whoops, for some reason you're only getting $1,000 that month. That's pretty much where we're at in this county. And the savings account you're hoping to dip into to cover that $500 barely has anything left in it. This is why for the past few years, I've been such a stickler on how we spend money since I started this. The EMS, the Hindle building, all these stupid little things. And I'm not saying the EMS was a stupid little thing, but the way that was sliding to bankruptcy, and we were just throwing money at it when we had absolutely nothing in our name. And that we're paying for that now. We're still paying for that. That's hit us hard, but it would have been worse. I'll get back to that in a minute. Like the Hindle building, $200,000 for an engineering study, $3.5 million to fix the building, which it would have been way more than that. That's why all these years I've been saying, stop. We can't keep doing this. And here we are. And of course, every time I say stop, somebody involved in that little project, it's their little pet project, they get mad because I'm calling them out. But I did so because I was trying to avoid this. But here we are. The EMS thing, that's a perfect example. How much money this county was continually to throw money at the EMS volunteer squad. And it was sliding into bankruptcy because they were depleted. You're talking about your savings being depleted. And I know they said that something had been in the works for a while to hand to the county. I don't buy that. Because nothing happened. Nothing changed. Until I pulled their tax forms and pointed out what awful financial shape they were in. And then, next thing you know, the county was going to start taking it over, which now we have the building. Now we're starting to have ambulances, so we're good now. But because it still got to a certain point, we're still paying for it now. And that's a big chunk of this budget this year, is trying to get that, because at this point, the contracting fees are getting so high to put people in the ambulances because there's not enough volunteers to get them. The county's looking at starting their own, pretty much hiring a whole new set of employees, pretty much kind of creating a whole new department. It is what it is, but had this stuff been more proactive before I got involved, we would have been a lot better off at this point. So like I said, I've been trying to say, hey, we need to be careful. So supervisors so far in their workshops come to the point where they wanted to help balance this budget, to not have to dip into a savings that's hardly there anymore, was to raise personal property tax 25 cents, was to raise real estate tax 12%, and triple, actually a little bit more, the machinery and tools tax. So, kind of like what you see in DC, right? Government's got in over their head. But it's going to be us, the taxpayers, to bill it out. Once you add government, it does not go away. Once taxes go up, they hardly ever decrease. Although, this year, Chesterfield is lowering their personal property tax. So, I always say we don't want to be like Chesterfield, but hey, maybe this time we do. But we are there. Now, here's the big shocker. All those tax increases were proposed with a budget deficit of about $2.5 million. But if you go into the latest board packet and see the latest number, it goes back to what I was saying about over projected revenues. It looks like that budget deficit is actually $5.8 million. Meaning there's still another $2 or $3 million they got to figure out how to cover this. So what's the government do? What's our government do? Raise taxes more? They got themselves into the jam. Are we going to bail them out? My opinion, I think it's time to get out the chainsaws and take it to the county budget. And I still got some more to prove on that, because there are plenty of other counties our size that are doing it for far less than we are. And the numbers are all there. I'm happy to put them together and working on it. Now, I think some of our BOS members might be coming around and realizing they just can't stick the people with the bill. And to their credit, most of them inherited this mess. And they are not in an easy spot right now. But that's what you sign up to do the job, right? Can't keep burying your head in the sand and saying it's going to be okay, because it's not okay. We're here. And maybe the can could be kicked down the road for another year. But it's just going to bite that much more when it finally comes to a head. So I'm very interested to see how the BOS meeting goes. I'm not going to be there in person, but I will be watching it from the Amelia All Access mobile production studio here. And I don't know, guys, start paying attention. Start paying attention. This is your community. You see all the crap that goes on in DC. We see all the horrible stuff. It's another election year. You can't do anything about that. All you can do is go fill out a box for who you want your guy to be and hope for the best. The same kind of stuff is going on right here in your backyard. And you actually can make a difference. That's the best part. You can make a difference. But you better start. So, we'll see where this goes.